Hello all. A wonderful morning to all the participants who have joined the webinar today. You're looking at the Endpoint Management Solutions portfolio. These are the list of products what we offer under Endpoint Management section in ManageEngine. And today I'm going to extensively talk about the Mobile Device Manager Plus product. So welcome you all for the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. So my name is Ruben Karthik and I'm a product specialist and I'm associated with ManageEngine for the past 6 years. I do the training and implementation for the endpoint management solutions in ManageEngine. Here is our training schedule. This is a 3-week series and we are in the first week of the training program where I'm going to demonstrate how you can onboard your devices into our MDM solution and how you could apply certain basic security provisioning on your added devices. And second week, it will be about the app management and device security provisioning, and followed by the modern management of Windows 10 and MacBooks in our MDM. And all these sessions will be recorded and it will be sent to all the registered participants once after the webinar is over. And also you could visit the below mentioned URL anytime to check the question and answers discussed during the training. And also you could get a recorded training video updated in the website. All right, let's see the training agenda, what we have in the store for today. First, I'm going to give you a quick overview about the Mobile Device Manager Plus product, an introduction about MDM and the architecture and ports and prerequisites required to manage your devices in our solution. Followed by, I'll demonstrate how you could onboard your devices into a solution. The devices which are already in use, to make the device usage ready, and how we can separate the corporate data available on the devices when it comes to BYOD. This might be one of the major requirements that all the administrators have to address. I will look at how you could restrict the unauthorized access to your corporate email accounts. Followed by, based on my support experience, I would also like to share certain real-time scenarios and the best solutions to approach these problems at the end of the training. Meanwhile, if you, the viewers, have any questions for us, please feel free to post them in the chat. I have an expert panel with me who will be able to answer your questions right away. All right, let's see the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus solution. These are the list of operating systems like Apple, Android, Windows, and Chrome OS. So these are the list of OS which you could manage under our MDM solution. And when it comes to the device type, it could be a smartphone, it could be a tablet, and even MacBook and Windows laptop you could manage. And we also started supporting Apple TVs and Android TVs, which you can manage, and Chrome devices as well. So these are the list of device type and the operating system which you could manage using our Mobile Device Manager Plus solution. And the MDM component itself is available in 3 flavors. One as an integrated solution with Desktop Central. So Desktop Central is a unified endpoint solution where you could manage laptop servers. And along with that, you'll also be able to manage mobile devices within the Desktop Central suite. And in case if you're majorly looking for a smartphone or a tablet management, then we also offer the standalone Mobile Device Manager Plus product, which is available on both cloud and on-premise. And moreover, if you have any MSP audience today, so who would like to manage devices from multiple companies, from different companies, like a multiple service provider, we also offer the Mobile Device Manager Plus solution with MSP architecture, like a multi-tenant architecture in both cloud and on-premise. And we understand an MDM admin would wish to integrate with as many applications as possible in order to make the administrative job easy. So we leverage to integrate our MDM with our own ticketing software called ManageEngine Service Desk Plus. And also you could integrate with other helper solutions like Spiceworks, Jira Service Desk, Zendesk, and ServiceNow. And we also, you can also integrate client relationship management software called you would like to find out a location of an iOS device or right? It goes to the device, which in turn will be sent on this example. Command will be sent to the Apple push notification service, the APN service, which in turn will use the device UDID or the serial number, the unique number of the devices, and it will wake up the device using the profile install. And the device gets wake up, it contacts the MDM server and processes what command to execute. In this example, as I said, it's going to fetch the geo coordinates of the device and it's sent back to the server. As an admin, you'll be able to see in the map of view in the product. This is how the communication flow will be from the server to the notification service, and the notification wakes up the device, which in turn will contact the server and execute the command. And here, when it comes to on-premise based model, where you don't want to create a cloud account or where you wish to host the solution internally, then you need to make sure the devices do have access to your MDM server. Because only if the server is accessible, you'll be able to process the command or you'll be able to distribute applications or policies to your managed devices. And if you don't want to expose your internal MDM server, then you do have an option to place a secure gateway, an additional secure component in your DMZ zone, which will only be exposed to your internet devices. So whatever command you initiate, and when the device tries to contact back the server, it will be redirected through the secure gateway component. And when it comes to cloud, the MDM server is already available in our data center, and the notification services are also available on the internet. You just need to make sure the device needs to have an internet connection. If that is the case, then you'll be able to manage your devices without any issues. And when you go with on-premise, you need to make sure you expose the MDM server or place a secure gateway component and make sure you allow the necessary ports and the required URLs in order to manage their devices. And these are the list of ports required when it comes to an on-premise based MDM solution. So we use 9383 for the devices to contact the server. This is an HTTPS port, the secure port. And the server will use the 443 port to reach the notification service. It could be an Apple push notification service or Firebase cloud messaging service. So this will be reached through 443. And device notification services will go through these ports. In order to know more about the inbound and outbound port information, you can also visit the below mentioned URL. And so as you even saw in the architecture, the solution also follows the client and server model. So you need to have an MDM component installed on all your devices so that the notification service will reach and wakes up the device, and the device will know to which MDM server it has to contact. So you need to have an MDM profile and an app deployed on all your devices. And that's what I'm going to explain in today's session, how and what are the different ways you could deploy the MDM profile on your managed devices. And when it comes to Android, you need to necessarily have the MDM app deployed in order to manage your device. But when it comes to Apple, Windows, or Chrome OS, you don't need to necessarily download or install the MDM app on these devices. We just leverage the native OS client available on these devices, and we will just install the operating system to take control. So you will understand these concepts when it comes to the next upcoming slides. adding application and distributing to your devices, sharing content, and creating announcement messages. So all the management tasks will be done from this very same device management section. And inventory gives you the asset details of the devices you have. And you can also choose the required columns to be displayed on this dashboard. Like say, I want to know about the battery percentage or the UDID information of the devices. You could choose the appropriate columns you want, and you can also sort the order of the columns you would like to display it with. And then you can save the column so that you will be able to take these information as a report as well. In case if you would like to check the Android device details, you'll be able to export these information in PDF, CSV format as well. And you can check the location data. So in a single map where you will be able to trace out all the device location, and you'll be able to initiate certain commands based on the location as well. And enrollment is where you onboard your devices, and that's what I'm going to cover in today's session. So you could find the different ways of onboarding your devices into the solution under this enrollment section. And reports tab gives you certain predefined reports available. Like say, if you want to know what are the jailbroken devices being added into the solution, and if you want to automatically remove your devices, if it is jailbroken or rooted, you do have settings for it. And if you want to know which are the devices have a certain application installed, like say an antivirus or a certain app based on the business use case, if you want to take a report, then you do have an option to sort based on the application level. And if you want to check these reports on a periodic basis, like say on a week-on basis, I want to check what are the recently installed apps on the devices, you do have an option for that. You have app summary reports, app installation summary, app by devices. Likewise, you can choose the required reports, and you do have an option to set the frequency. Like say I want to get this on every Monday morning, so I will just go and set a time frame. Every Monday at 10 o'clock, I would like to check these reports on. Then you do have an option to schedule it, and you can also choose on which format the report has to be sent. Either if you want to have it in a CSV or a PDF format, you do have option for that. And you can mention the email address as well here. So you can even provide multiple email IDs so that the reports will be sent to all the administrators. And under the admin section, this is where you do the administration task like creating user. You do have role-based administration here. So you can create a user and define a particular scope to them. Like say this admin would want have to manage the devices only within US or only within Europe. Like this, you can even create a technician and define scope for them. And also you can define a role to the technicians you are creating. Let this technician only have access to the inventory management. Then I'll go and create another technician, and I'll provide them to have a technician role where they will be able to do the device management jobs as well. So you do have an option to create a role of your own choice. You do have an option to create a role with the required permission and assign that role to the appropriate user you're mapping it with. Because you'll be able to do the basic administration task from here. And you do have rebranding option, that in case if you want to change this mobile device manager plus logo with your own company logo or information, you do have an option to modify this and upload. And you do have support tab here where you will be able to reach our support team at any time. Like you have 24/5 live chat channel, so you can get in touch with our chat team at any time from Monday to Friday. And if you'd like to create a ticket, and that works 24/7, you can raise a ticket at any time and it'll be there to guide you. So you have this option under request support. And if you'd like to prefer talking over a phone or a call, you do have the support toll-free numbers here. All right, so this is like a quick tour I want to give you about the mobile device manager solution. And as I said before, the mobile device manager solution is also available as an integrated solution with Desktop Central. So Desktop Central is unified endpoint product. So here you do have an option to patch your endpoints, like it could be a Windows, a Mac, or Linux servers. You'll be able to patch them under the patch management section. You can deploy software to your computers and all. Along with that, you'll also be able to manage mobile devices. And whatever you saw under the standalone mobile device manager option will be available within Desktop Central in the left pane. The feature-wise remains the same. All right, let's get into the topics today. So how you can enroll your devices into our MDM solution. So in order to explain or in order to demonstrate the process in an easy way, let me consider myself as an MDM admin, and I work for an organization called Zilker. And my management team have asked me to enroll devices which are already in use. It could be corporate-owned, personally enabled devices, or it could be the employee's own device like BYOD, which I have to register with our MDM for management. And also have a couple of new devices, and I want to automate the enrollment process for these new devices as well. So let's go one by one. First, let me show you how you can onboard the devices which are already in use. And for that, you have two methods. When the devices are already in use, you could add them via email or SMS invite, if not through self-enrollment, where the end users can bring their own device by going to a particular URL. And adding these devices through this method, it could be applied when a device is personally owned or BYOD, like I've said. If not, it could be a corporate-owned, personally enabled devices. If not, if you're trying to migrate devices from a different MDM solution into our MDM, and if it is not possible for you to factory reset the device and register as a new phone within an MDM, you could follow these email or self-enrollment methods. And benefits of adding the devices through email or self-enrollment when it comes to the devices which are already in use, it isolates the personal and corporate data available on the devices. You will see a separate workspace created on the devices when you register the phones through email and self-enrollment. And it also contains the work application separately on the devices so that you will not be able to share files across the work application to personal application, if not from work application to an external device, or you cannot upload files in the internet as well. And moreover, you'll also have an option to create a separate passcode policy for accessing your work application alone. So like this, you'll be able to isolate the personal and corporate data available on the devices, and you'll be able to efficiently manage your corporate application. And first, as I said, let me show you how we can onboard your devices via email invite. And this is the diagrammatic workflow for adding a device through email invitation or SMS invite, where an admin will choose the appropriate users and send the invitation out, and where the users will accept the invitation by scanning a QR code or accessing the enrollment link, and then the device will be registered within our MDM. And first, let me show you how we could onboard an Apple device through email invite. And when it comes to managing an Apple device, Apple push notification service is mandatory when it comes to any MDM solution. If you're planning to manage an Apple phone or an Apple iPad, you need to have the Apple push notification service certificate registered within your MDM account or MDM server. And for that, you can go to the enrollment section. Under Apple division, you have APN certificate where you can just click. If in case if you already have an Apple ID, the corporate Apple ID, you can directly click on sign in. And you need to download the certificate file from our MDM solution and upload it in the Apple push notification portal. I've already done that. Let me show you. You go to the enrollment section here. Go to the enrollment, and you have the Apple enrollment section here on the left-hand side, and you have APNS certificate. And in case if you haven't integrated, or if you're a new customer where you haven't integrated with your APNS portal, you will exactly see the same process here. And you can use the sign-in option if you have a corporate Apple ID, and then download the file from our solution. Use this file and upload it under the Apple push notification portal. And once after you accept the terms and condition and uploading our file, it will generate the APNS certificate for you, which you can download and re-upload back in our solution. It's like you trusting your MDM account with Apple push notification portal. That's it. And it is mandatory to mention the email address for APNS expiry event, because the Apple push notification certificate will expire in 365 days. So you have to renew every year, and you will get a notification before 90 days. So once after you get the notification, you'll be able to renew and upload it back here. because once the APNS gets expired, you might need to re-enroll all your devices. So it's better you get notified and renew, and that is when the expiry time gets closer. So once after you uploaded your APNS port certificate into your solution, you go to the enrollment devices section, and you have the option enroll device. You can choose iOS or macOS based on the business need. You could choose the appropriate operating system. As I said in the first example, let me share. Let me send the invite to an Apple user. So you have the option, either you can send it to the email address or you can fill up the phone number here. And you send the invitation out. And when the invite has been sent, the users will get, let me create another one and show it in the console itself. So when you send an email invite, the users will get this very same information displayed on their email or in the text, that they will get the enrollment link, or else they can scan the QR code, which will download the MDM profile to the device and thereby providing the OTP to register the phone. So let's see how the UI would look like on the device end when the user tries to access this QR code or the enrollment link. First, it automatically prompts you to download the MDM profile. The users can click on allow, and the profile will be downloaded. And it's not as soon as the profile is downloaded, it will be right away installed on the devices. The user has to go to the settings section, check the profile downloaded option here, and then the user has to verify. So the user will get the option stating that it is the MDM profile from the appropriate organization. Like I said in this example, it will show this is the profile distributor from the Zilker organization. So the users can verify these details and click on install, and then the device gets trusted within our MDM. So this is how the email or SMS invites will work. And as soon as the user trusts the certificate, the device will be registered with an MDM. And with this workflow, the device, the OTP will be valid only for 7 days. So you have to regenerate the OTP in case if the user haven't registered the devices. And the invites are specific to an individual user or an operating system. So you have to go to the devices section, you choose the appropriate device type or the operating system, and you have to target to the users. And as I said, the invites will be valid only for 7 days, and you can check these information here, whether it is there to enroll or the request got expired. If it has got expired, you might need to resend the enrollment request to them. And when the user successfully enroll the devices, you could see them under the Manage tab. And moreover, you do have the option to send bulk enrollment invites too. It's not something where you have to go and choose the operating system or the user every time. You do have an option to do a bulk enrollment where you can update the CSV file, the required information like username, email address, and the platform type, and you'll be able to upload the CSV file through which you can send the invitation in bulk. So this is how you onboard your devices through email invite. And then the second way of onboarding the devices which are already in use, it's via the self-enrollment. So self-enrollment is where an admin will commonly publish a URL, and that URL will be applicable across all the device platform. And the users will be authenticating the enrollment via the Active Directory credentials. So when it comes to self-enrollment, you need to integrate your MDM instance with the directory services. Let me explain that to you now. So you go to this enrollment tab here, you have the directory services. So you can integrate with on-premise or Azure AD, or we do support G Suite and Okta services as well. So you can integrate your MDM instance with any of these directory services. And then you go to the self-enrollment and you configure the details. So this is the common published URL, and any user can access this URL, which will download the MDM profile, and it will be applicable for iOS, Android, Windows, and the users can register the devices using this method. And what will happen on the end user end is, once after the user access the self-enrollment URL, you do have an option to configure the additional setting, like say only certain Active Directory groups have access to bring their own device into the solution. And you can also restrict the user access, like one user can only bring 3 devices to the maximum. And you will also be notified whenever the user registers the device through self-enrollment. And even if you want to map the devices to a particular group so that they get the default corporate app and documents, you do have an option to map them here itself. So these policies will help you to use the management purpose as well. And moreover, here, as I said, the Active Directory integration is mandatory because any user, whoever has access to this particular URL, can bring their phone into the solution, into the MDM, they get registered with it. And moreover, they'll also get access to the corporate applications and documents. So in order to prevent that, we have the option to limit the self-enrollment to a particular Active Directory group at the same time to a particular number of devices as well. Because when it comes to email invite, it will be the administrator who choose the user or the device type and send the invitation for enrollment. But when it comes to self-enrollment, it is a commonly published URL. Any user can bring their own device into the solution and they will get access to corporate apps and policies. That's the reason you need to integrate with your Active Directory services. And on the user end, once after the user accesses the self-enrollment URL, this is how the screen would look like, where the app gets downloaded automatically and they have to provide the server details. They either, if you're using an on-premise MDM server, you can also attach these information, because usually when the technicians or when the new employees join the organization, during the offer letter, they attach the self-enrollment URL and the server credentials to register the phone with an MDM. In case if you have a cloud instance, you can also choose the cloud instance here, and then it will prompt the users to provide their AD user credential. So you have to provide the username and password so that the app gets registered within the MDM solution. So this is how the self-enrollment works. So it will be a common URL, and the user can access the URL, which downloads the app or a profile, prompting them to enter the Active Directory credentials. And once after the device is registered with an MDM, they get access to the corporate applications like this. So whatever app it has been distributed through this MDM will have a briefcase icon. So that shows these are corporate apps, and certain policies will be applied by default on these applications. So this is about the onboarding process of the devices which are in use. Like I said, it could be a personal BYOD device or a corporate own personal enabled devices. Since the devices are, even though it is a corporate device, if the devices are already being distributed to the employees, then if this cannot be a factory reset, then you could follow with the email or SMS invite, if not via self-enrollment. In case if you have any queries related to this section, please let us know in the chat. Our panel team can help you out. Now let me show you how you can onboard the new devices into the solution. And as you know, when it comes to a new phone, the initial setup has to be manually done by the user or an admin. And obviously the user intervention is required when it comes to onboarding the new device into a solution. And that's why we offer the automated enrollment methods, that you could onboard your devices through Apple Business Manager for Apple phones and devices. And when it comes to Android device, you could go with Google Zero Touch Enrollment and Samsung Knox Mobile Enrollment. So these are the certain automated enrollment methods through which you can register your devices when it comes to new device. And benefits of onboarding the devices through these methods are, it gives you a full support for profiles and configuration. It's not just for the work application or workspace. The entire device itself can be managed by an MDM admin, and you will be able to lock any settings or restrictions on the devices. And you can also silently deploy apps without even the user accepting the prompt or without the user intervention. You will be able to silently distribute the application to the devices if it has been registered through the automated methods. And you do have an option to whitelist application. Let's say I want to make sure the devices do have access to certain applications alone. Only 5 to 6 apps needs to be used on the device end, and you'll be able to lock them for the application level. Then it has to be added through the automated enrollment methods. And then you do have the options to manage the OS update. So whenever there is a new version released by Apple or Android, and if you want to delay the update, you do have an option to do that only on the corporate devices. And as a prerequisite, when it comes to automating the devices through these methods, you need to have an account with Apple, Google, or Samsung, and the devices have to be purchased directly from the Apple Store or from certain authorized resellers. Anyway, we'll get to this point in the upcoming slide. And let me give you the workflow here. So you could, in order to integrate or automate the devices through these methods, you need to integrate your MDM account with the appropriate business portals, and then add the devices to the portal, and then distribute the MDM profile to them. Anyway, let me show you how we can integrate your MDM account with Apple Business Manager or Google Zero Touch portals. So first, let me show you how we can onboard the Apple devices through Apple Business Manager. You could go to Apple enrollment section. Let me show it real time. So you have the Apple enrollment under this. And in case, as you know, Apple offers two programs for it. Apple Business Manager for the enterprise management stuff, and Apple School Manager for the educational institution. So you can choose the appropriate type based on the business need you have. And then in case if you don't have an Apple Business Manager account, we already provide you the sign up page where you can provide your company details and create an Apple Business Manager account here. You can provide your organization details and then sign in. And in case if you already have one, then you can just directly click on sign in and be able to log in. Let me log into my Apple Business Manager account. And then this is similar to that of what we have done under the Apple Push Notification Certificate upload process, where you will get a certificate from our solution. You upload in the APNS portal, which will generate another certificate, and you re-upload back. Same type where you exchange or where you integrate your MDM with the appropriate Apple Business Manager portal. You need to download the public key available here. And then you sign into your Apple Business Manager account, and then go to the settings, device management settings, and add your MDM server. Let me go to that part. So go to settings section, device management settings, click on add MDM server. And here you can provide your and upload the file which you have downloaded. So this is the file which I've downloaded from my MDM account, and then save it. This in turn will generate another token, which I have to upload back in my MDM server. So it's like a two-way handshake. You generate, you get a file from our solution, upload it in the Apple Business Manager portal, and that will generate another S token, which you need to re-upload back here. And as I said, it's always better to mention the email address so that you will be notified when there is when the certificate gets expired. Let me provide my corporate Apple ID details. And here you can customize the device activation settings. So where you could skip all the initial activation settings, which will be prompted on the user and like signing in with Apple ID, Touch ID setup, location service access. So I would like to make the user job more easy. So I would like to skip all these initial configuration settings on the devices, whichever I'm onboarding through Apple Business Manager. And even if you want to automatically map these devices to a particular group, like a test group, where I would deploy certain basic policies and applications, I will also map them here itself. And in case if you're also trying to onboard MacBooks, you do have an option to mention these details as well. So this is how you integrate your MDM server with Apple Business Manager account. Let me retire the process to you. So you download the file, you go to settings, device management settings, click on add MDM server, provide the details and upload the key, and that will generate another S token to you, which you will be uploading back in our MDM solution. That's it. And you can customize the device activation settings as well. So this is how you integrate your Apple Business Manager account within our solution. Once this is done, you'll be able to provide the Apple customer number and reseller's ID even here. This is mandatory so that if you're purchasing the devices from Apple Store, automatically your Apple's vendors will update the device serial number to your ABM account, and you'll be able to see the devices here. As I remember, when it comes to the prerequisite to manage your to onboard your devices through Apple Business Manager, the device needs to be purchased from. You have the prerequisites here. The devices needs to be purchased from Apple or the authorized reseller. So you can also see the reseller IDs here. And you can get those information and update that details under your ABM account. Once that is the section, see the list of devices you have, select the appropriate devices you wish to onboard, and then choose edit device management and choose the appropriate MDM server you have and assign the MDM profile to it. That's it. So this is how you will integrate your account and select the required devices, which will be available under your ABM account. And you'll be able to select the appropriate profile or the MDM server you have and then assign it to it. So you can just click on this. You can even select multiple devices and click on edit device management. And you apply this MDM profile to them. And on the user end, the user just needs to turn on the device. If it is a new device, the user just needs to turn on, and automatically after connecting the device to Wi-Fi, it gets validated, and it will check whether this device serial number matches with any of your ABM account or Apple server details, and then it will start to download the MDM profile. That's it. It's the automated process of registering your devices into an MDM solution. Even if it is not a new device, but still if it is a company phone and you want to have a complete management, like I've said about whitelisting app or controlling the OS update, the device has to be done a factory reset, and after reset, when the device is turned on, it automatically validates the device serial number, the Apple server, and it downloads the appropriate profile on the devices. So this is how you automate the enrollment for Apple devices through Apple Business Manager. And say still it could be a company device, and if the devices are not purchased from Apple Store or Apple or from the authorized reseller, but still if you want to have a complete management, then you need to have an option to onboard the devices through Apple Configurator. So where you need to have a MacBook and connect these devices to a MacBook and then provision them with the MDM profile. So you have the options to update the server details here, and you'll be able to distribute the MDM profile to them. So that's what the Apple Business Manager and Apple Configurator part. Now, when it comes to Android devices, like I said, there are two methods through which you can automate the devices. We will consider these methods, the Apple Business Manager and Google Zero Touch Enrollment and Knox, or the remote way of activation, because you don't need to physically have the devices with you on hand. You just need to assign the MDM profile to the appropriate device serial number, and it could be with the employees already. When they just turn on the device, it will have the MDM profile deployed to them. So that's why we call it as zero touch enrollment for Android devices as well. And similar method will be for Samsung Knox mobile enrollment. Anyway, when it comes to Google Zero Touch Enrollment, this is how the Zero Touch portal would look like, where you can go to the configuration section, click on Add Configuration, where you can provide your MDM account details. So you can get these MDM account information under your MDM server. You go to so here you will have the DPC extras where you have to copy these information and provide it in your Zero Touch portal details, and you can mention the contact email information as well. So every MDM account will have a unique DPC token, which you need to copy and upload it in your Zero Touch portal. Once that is done, the configuration will be created, and you can select the required devices under your portal, and you'll be able to assign the configuration. That's it. And same case, when the user turns on the Android devices they have, it will automatically be mapped with the appropriate and the device will straight away go to the setup and the device page. As you see, the users will not have an option to skip this part. They have to accept and continue so that the device will get registered with an MDM, and only then the users will be able to use these devices. And the work account will be set up, and the device will be finished with the MDM onboarding process. Similar for Samsung devices, we have mobile enrollment. You have to have a Samsung Knox account, and using that, you'll be able to copy the MDM to the appropriate MDM profile you have. So these three methods are the automated enrollment methods where you don't need to physically have the devices with you. Just by using the device serial number, you'll be able to onboard your devices. So let's have a quick summary on the methods we've discussed so far. As you see, there are two methods we can classify the devices as. The devices which are already in use, it could be a personal device or a company-enabled personal devices, which you can onboard through email or SMS invite and self-enrollment. And when it comes to new devices or the corporate device where you want to take complete control, then you have Apple Business Manager, Zero Touch, and Knox, where you can remotely activate the MDM profiles with, and Apple Configurator for the devices which are not purchased from Apple resellers or Apple Store. And for Android, you have Knox and EMM token as well. So in the product UI, when you go to the enrollment tab, and when you go to the enrollment section, you have the top section where you can go and create an enrollment invite. You can send the invites to iOS and Android user and self-enrollment. These two are for the devices which are already in use. And the methods, whatever you see under the Apple Android section, these are all for corporate devices where you would like to take complete control. You have the EMM token message here. So now let me show you how we can deploy certain basic policies to your devices. The first thing comes about creating a passcode policy or configuring Wi-Fi policy to the devices. Let me show you for iOS and Android side by side. You go to the device management section, you go to profiles. You have the option to create profile here. So this is for Apple. And at the same time, I can create another profile for Android as well. So here you can configure the passcode policy. So if, for example, I want to make sure the users have at least a 6-digit passcode on the devices, and I want them to change the passcode every 90 days. So every 3 months, I want them to change it. And in case if the device is lost or stolen, and if any unauthorized user tries to access the device, and if they enter the wrong passcode for more than 6 times, it will automatically do a reset. So they will also see the options like, say, they only have 5 attempts remaining, 4 attempts remaining, and if they've exceeded these maximum failed attempts, the device will do an automatic factory reset. So this is about the passcode policy I want to configure for Apple user. And when it comes to Android, I want to specifically create a passcode policy only to access the workspace, not the entire device. Only when they try to open the workspace, I want them to use a number lock with 4-digit number PIN. And I don't want to use the fingerprint or iris scanning to unlock the corporate application or workspace. I'll restrict these options on the Android devices. And same way, if someone tries to enter a wrong passcode for the work access, I do have an option to lock it with that so that the work profile gets deleted. So this is something where you can create it for Android devices. And second, I want to configure for the restriction where I don't want the users to share files across personal applications. So when it comes to Apple devices, you need to enforce this policy. When it comes to Android, by default, the users will not be able to transfer the files from work application to personal application. But when it comes to Apple devices, an MDM admin have to separately configure this restriction. Let me go and restrict this option. Sharing data from
I didn't show that, sir.
if you want to configure VPN profile to your devices, you do have an option to choose the appropriate VPN client you have. Say if you're using Cisco AnyConnect, you can choose the Wi-Fi, the VPN tunnel, and mention the server details here. And even you have a per app VPN as well. So only when the user uses Outlook or corporate mails, I want them to connect through this VPN. So I'll just go and provide these details. Likewise, you'll be able to choose per app VPN as well. Same for Android, if you want to configure Exchange Active, choose 365 Exchange Online or on-premise Exchange server, mention the server details and choose the email client you use, and then provide the appropriate as well. You can configure email on the business use case. So if you create a profile, save this profile and publish this profile to your devices. And once the profile is published, you'll be able to select the appropriate group. I would recommend you to select a particular device first, and then you distribute the profile and make sure whether the policy works fine. If it is, then you go to group and select the appropriate group, and you'll be able to distribute the policy. Another advantage here is, so when it comes to grouping, if a new user gets added to this group, automatically the profile, app, or document, whatever it has been shared to this group, will also be applied to the newly added device. So this is an advantage of creating a group, and even you can sync your Active Directory groups here, and all the groups, whatever you have under the directory services, will also get listed under this section. And after distributing the passcode profile, this is how the users will get prompted about. Say if the user haven't configured a passcode with 6-digit, they will be prompted to enter a strong passcode unless and until they meet the passcode norms you have configured. They will see this message. And before you apply the restriction, like say, before you apply the restriction of file sharing, say I don't want the users to access the files within the personal space. I don't want the users to share the files from managed application to unmanaged app. This is how the screen would look like. The users will be able to share these files to any applications they have. And after applying the restriction, they will only have the option to open these document or attachment files for the work applications alone. So this will help you for containerizing the work application within the personal devices as well. And now let me show you how we could secure your corporate emails from unauthorized access. So we do offer the conditional access policies within our solution, where you can lock your devices to access your corporate mail server only if they have access to, only if the device is registered within the MDM solution. Let me go to the conditional exchange policy. So you will have it under the device management section. I will have the device management section. You have it under the exchange policy here. Great. With your exchange policy, you can just Second, you have to go to the device management tab. You have conditional exchange access. And this is where you provide your exchange host type or the on-premise server details. So you have to mention these information here. And after, and then you will be able to enforce the policy based on the business use case as well. Yes, so you provide your exchange server details information here, and then you go to the access policy where you can choose whether you want to apply this conditional access to all your users or only to selected users. So when you go with selected users, only the configured users will have to have the MDM profile installed on the devices in order to access. Whereas the other users can log into your mail account without having the MDM profile as well. And when they do so, if they don't have the uh, exchange or MDM profile installed, they will get this very same message displayed on the screen. As per the company policy, the devices registered with MDM can only access your mailbox. So use this enrollment URL and register your form. So this is how you will enforce a policy. And when I said about the selected user, like say if I'm selecting these two users or these three users alone, when these users try to access my exchange server without or exchange online without the MDM profile, they will be prompted to register the device with MDM. And an admin can also see those device information which is trying to access the mail server and whether the device is enrolled or not enrolled, and what about the device access state, whether it is allowed or blocked, because you do have an option to give a grace period. Like say, I want to apply this policy for 3 days. So the users can access your mail server without MDM profile only for 3 days. Then after, they will only get to this message or the mail prompt where they will be prompted to download the MDM profile and register within the device so that they can access your mail server. So this is how you integrate your MDM with Exchange server or Office 365 account and enforce the devices to have the MDM profile to access your mail account. In case if you have any questions on this aspect, please feel free to post them in the chat. And we have come to the end of the training where I'm going to share certain real-time scenarios and the best solutions for it. So first, as I've said, in case if the devices are not purchased from authorized resellers or Apple stores, how we could supervise them or how we could do a complete management, then as I said, you can go with the Apple configurator where you can connect your devices to a MacBook and distribute the MDM profile to them. So let me show that once again to you. Go to the enrollment tab. You have the Apple configurator. So you have the configuration steps. You can create a Wi-Fi profile so that, as you know, when it comes to a corporate device, or if you're looking for a complete management, the device needs to be either new, if not, you need to do a factory reset. So once after you reset the device, you connect them to a MacBook, which will have the Wi-Fi profile created, and you will have a blueprint already available. So you just need to provide the server details of your MDM account and integrate these details on the Apple configurator you have. And then you connect the devices to a MacBook and distribute this profile to it. That's it. So this is how we could supervise your devices through Apple configurator if your phones are not purchased from Apple store or resellers. Same way, if you would like to leverage the benefits of zero-touch enrollment, as some of the devices are not supported, how would you be able to enroll? That's why you have the other two methods for Android, EMM token and NFC. EMM token is the simplest way that you could, as you know, it should be a new device or factory reset. On the welcome screen, you just need to tap the screen 6 times, which will open a code scanner, and scanning this QR code will register the device. That's it. And when it comes to NFC method, we have the ManageEngine NFC enrollment app available in Play Store. You could install that application on any of the phones and start bumping the client devices after resetting. So when you bump, it distributes the MDM profile and the device will be registered with an MDM. So these two methods can be used for Android devices as well. And in case if the Android version is less than 6.0, you can also go with the EM token method, where after resetting, when the device is connected to Wi-Fi, it will prompt the users to provide the Gmail account. Instead of providing the Gmail account here, you can mention the Enterprise Mobility and Management token called AFW/MEMDM, which means Android for Work /ManageEngine Mobile Device Manager. You can provide this code, which will give you another code scanner, and scanning the QR code available under this section will help you with that. So these are a couple of methods through which you can onboard your corporate devices using an MDM solution. So remember, whatever you see on the top are already in use, and for the company device or new devices, you could follow the steps mentioned under Apple and Android division. So third scenario, what will happen if two contradictory profiles are applied to a device? So for example, I have restricted file sharing in one profile and I've allowed in the second profile. What will happen in this case? So when it comes to Apple, the most strict policy will take its precedence. So for example, even though you restricted the file sharing in first profile and you applied another profile, the latest profile, second profile with allow option, still the file sharing will be restricted for Apple devices. But when it comes to Android, the latest policy will take its precedence. So whatever change you made in the last policy or the profile you apply to an Android device, that will override. And how can we ensure users connect only to the Wi-Fi distributed using MDM? So remember, I showed you about the profile restriction, where you could go to restrictions, network and roaming, and choose this option. Connected Wi-Fi distributed via MDM. So if you choose this as yes, whatever profile you distribute through our product can only be connected on the devices. How can we prevent sensitive corporate content from being displayed on the device lock screen? As you know, these days the OTP gets shared, or certain the sensitive content will also be displayed on the lock screen. How will we be able to prevent that remotely, or how you want to apply these restrictions on all your devices? And you have the option under the same restriction section, security. You have the lock screen notification preference, where you can choose hide sensitive content. It's not don't show notification at all. It's based on your business use case. You'll be able to configure this restriction and apply to your devices. And six, I need to associate different profiles to different groups with certain modifications. How will I be able to do it? Yeah, this is quite a common request we have been getting these days, where the users might have created multiple profiles based on the business use case. So, and when it comes to doing certain modifications to the devices, they don't want to create this whole new profile and configure every settings on that. So for them, you could go to profile section. Under actions, you have copy profile as an option here. For example, if I'm copying the, let's say the managed web domain profile, I'll just choose copy profile. So the very same profile will be created again, and with an option for copy, and you can just do the major changes, whatever you want. So it will have the same settings applied, but if you like to do some changes, you'll be able to go to the appropriate section and you'll be able to modify. You'll be able to duplicate the profile and then do the changes. That's it with the end of the training. So please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is being the best. And if you want to have a personalized one-on-one session with our technicians, please feel free to post them in the chat also, where if you want to discuss your business use case and you want to have a separate online session with our engineers, we will also be able to check the available slots and confirm with you. And use the hashtag /mobile device manager plus and /ManageEngine in the social media platforms and spread the love. And the next session will be on the app management and device security provisioning part, where we'll have 2 sessions for it, one at 6:30 GMT and 11:30 Eastern time. And I thank each and everyone for joining the webinar, and I request everyone to take care and stay safe. Thank you.